President Biden falling hard in the polls, and his campaign is off to a rocky start. If only there was some kind of visual metaphor. Told him not to chew gum. But don't worry, the big guy is okay. The White House says Biden got sabotaged by a sandbag at the Air Force Academy graduation today. But the president has bigger problems to deal with, like his non-existent campaign strategy.
Mr. President, how's the re-election campaign going? But we haven't seen you on the campaign trail yet. Not at an official campaign rally.
Biden is also avoiding debate stages, and it's breaking the heart of that guy from Dawson's Creek, actor James Van Der Beek. Yes, that Van Der Beek, going viral with his criticism of Biden ducking the competition.
I cannot get over the fact that the Democratic National Committee is saying there will not be a debate to decide the nominee for president. Are you kidding me? Over an 80-year-old man who, if he lives, will be the oldest sitting president in the history of the country. And if he doesn't live, has a vice president whose approval rating is worse than his. This guy is obviously declining mental faculties.
I loved him in Breaking Bad. And here's why Biden should get out there more. His White House stunned to learn that a majority of Americans think he's corrupt.
What do you say to the majority of Americans who believe that the president is himself corrupt?
Wow. Can I take that question?
The president spoke into this.
All right, Jesse. We're going to just devote an entire segment to James Van Der Sleuth. Beek. But I want to talk to you about the fall. What do you make of the fall? What do you think James Van Der Beek thinks of the fall?
The first fall up the stairs of Air Force One was funny because there was 3 falls in one.
Right.
And it's hard to fall upstairs. And then the bike fall was also funny.
Yeah.
He had a helmet and he kind of tipped over. This fall was not funny. I wanted it to be funny. When someone sent it to me, I looked at my phone and I expected to laugh.
Yeah.
And then I actually felt bad.
It's hard to believe.
Felt bad.
I know.
Am I maturing?
No.
Am I growing a heart?
Nah.
What's wrong with me?
You're just telling a lie on national television. You didn't feel bad.
I actually felt bad for Joe Biden because he's a jerk, but he's also not physically fit enough to be the president. He could have hit his head and Kamala could have been president.
That's scary.
We're now at that territory where this is the 3rd major fall in 2 years. And he's got 2 more years to go, and he's asking for another 4.
Right.
We're now in the danger zone, physically. And we already know that people don't think he's mentally sharp enough. People think he's too corrupt to be president. So you're going to contrast this with Trump, who's golfing, and Biden's falling, with DeSantis campaigning vigorously all over the country and Joe Biden not campaigning. You have to show effort to get votes. You have to go out there and ask for votes, to campaign for votes. That's what all presidents have done ever. So he's not doing that. He's not going to campaign. And I never thought I'd be saying this, but James Van Der Beek has a point. If you're a Democratic primary voter and you have the oldest president of all time, and he's fallen and he can't get up, you're going to want to see if he has what it takes on a stage with an RFK or a Marianne. I know she's your good friend, Greg. He said he could be wrong. He said, I could be wrong. Joe Biden could prove me wrong. He could have the chops. But to deny the opportunity of the country and the Democratic Party to make that decision feels undemocratic. Now, we were told how important democracy was. Democracy, all the last 2 years, how important democracy was. Well, the president's not debating, not campaigning, and he's going to arrest his opponent. And then the White House press secretary can't answer any questions about it. Is that democratic? That's not very democratic to me.
Wow, well done. Kennedy, James Van Der Beek might have been as big as you in the 1990s. Could he be...
Topped out at 155, Greg. But.
Yes. But he does have a giant head, one of the biggest heads in I guess, the entertainment industry. Could that head save democracy?
Well, when you've lost Van Der Beek, you've lost a big slice of America. And I think we all know that, and we need to recognize that. Also, he had a massive forehead when he was on Dawson's Creek and in Varsity Blues. And I think the wrinkles have really helped him.
Yes.
He's sassy and sexy all at the same time. And yes, I think the president should be challenged because that's actually how Joe Biden turned things around during the 2020 debates is, you know, he had a bunch of wet mops on stage and they tried to come at him, bro, and it was not successful. Also, like, that debate stage should have been where Kamala Harris's political career ended. I still don't know. Like, to your point, no one wants to see an older person fall. No one wants to see someone get hurt, especially the president of the United States with his bony concussed finger on the nuclear button. But you're right. It's because we're all terrified of a Harris presidency. So, you know, if James Van Der Beek is going to pay us the compliment of being blunt, then why can't we do the same thing and ask, why can't we swap in another vice presidential candidate?
That is true. That is true, Dana. Were you struck by the words of James Van Der Beek?
Well, not really. I mean, but okay, so
What if it was Tori Spelling?
Oh, that would.
Or maybe Marsha Cross?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
one.
remember Melrose Place?
Yeah. So in 2015, Hillary Clinton would dodge debates from Bernie Sanders, but they actually had a primary that was an open seat. Okay, so both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party have basically shut down any sort of primary or debate when they have a incumbent president that wants to run for re-election. Joe Biden wanted to stay looking presidential as long as possible, but some things were happening. People were getting restless, and they weren't sure if he was actually going to run. Remember all those rumors for so long that he's definitely not going to run, he's definitely not going to run, and then they kept saying, remember he hinted all along. He's like, I got something to tell you soon. They got pushed into doing it sooner because people are concerned about his age. When I say people, I mean Democrats. Almost 70% of Democrats are concerned about his age, which means that probably 90% are concerned about it. And that means that every day, Republicans should be on the campaign trail saying, if Joe Biden wins this election, every single day will be possibly Kamala's inauguration day. And try to run with that because if he doesn't want to debate RFK Jr., and I understand that he probably won't, and that I understand following the historic precedent on that, that doesn't bother me that much.
You know, Jessica, just imagine, hypothetically, if the nuclear button was in front of Joe Biden when he fell, he would have fallen and pressed on it, and the world would be over. Are you happy now that you voted for him?
I'm trying
you
to
just
think.
voted for the extinction of America and the world.
The world.
Yes.
You definitely stand when you hit the button,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Because you could do it sitting, and then there would be low risk of there being any problems. Thank you, Dana, for explaining the precedent there with the debates, so I don't have to do that part. I'd like to talk about RFK Jr. a little bit. And I mentioned this last week. I have not met a single Democrat who is interested in RFK Jr. I've met a lot of conservatives that are hanging on his every word and talking about how this is a guy that gets it. Not one Democrat. I'm talking about normal Democrats you might meet, Politico types, people who have supported other candidates, like Bernie Sanders' people who don't like Biden, who didn't like Hillary, aren't even saying like RFK is the dream. Bernie's already said he's going to come out and support Biden. Now, what does that mean? That his support and Marianne Williamson's, which is about 10% right now, is people who are concerned about another 4 years of this. But there was a really interesting focus group. They wrote about it yesterday in the New York Times, run by Kristen Soltis Anderson, a Republican pollster, talked to 11 disaffected Democrats who all have big concerns about Biden. Not a single one said that they would vote for Trump or DeSantis over him. So that's still a huge mountain to climb for them. In terms of the corruption point, you know, and I understand it was funny to hear Karine Jean-Pierre say Jesus really, you know, audibly, and Kirby's reaction. But this is something that, A, they're going to have to deal with and continue to push back on. But now there is so much fodder to be discussing what's going on the other side. We know from yesterday there's audio of President Trump talking about how he had a classified document about a potential attack on Iran in his possession at Bedminster, where I don't think you do any of your presidential work necessarily. That's with Jack Smith now. People are saying that it's going to be obstruction now and espionage if he ends up charged.
Espionage.
What? You think it's a joke? It's not a joke. The National Records Office reached out to Trump's lawyers on May 6th in 2021 and said, you have documents that we own. Send them back. 3 days later, we have images of Trump boarding a plane for Bedminster and boxes being carted into it.
So you can send the Iranians billions in cash in the middle of the night, but you can't have a document?
Is this
Stop it.
No, you stop it.
That's espionage,
it's
but
below
this isn't.
you. That is below you. If
Nothing
you
is below me. Nothing is below me.
How dare you assert that?
You know me better than that.
It's true.
He can always go lower.
It's so scary.
Jesse Waters, he can always go lower. Real quick before we go, I just want to know what went through your mind when you saw the fall.
I was scared for him, like I would be scared for anyone. I was happy to know that at least there was a sandbag that he tripped over. But anyone who falls like that.
Oh, you believe the sandbag thing?
I believe. Okay.
You know what?
We have a president who can't walk. We had one in a wheelchair before. What do you care? He can do the job.
I'm going to wait to see what James Van Der Beek has to say about the sandbag. Right?
Yeah.
Because
Hollywood's coming for the Democratic Party with that one.
I think we're being sandbagged on the sandbag. Right?
Yep.
I think I should exit this segment on that note.
That's what they're telling us.
Yes.
Before
okay.
Jesse goes lower.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.